Hello, and welcome back to our channel, Manga Recap. Today, we're going to do a recap of Season 1 of the anime series called Hunter x Hunter. The story follows a young boy named Gon Freecss, who, one day, discovers that the father who he thought was dead is in fact alive and well. He learns that his father, Ging, is a legendary hunter, an individual who has proven themselves an elite member of humanity. Despite the fact that Ging left his son with his relatives in order to pursue his own dreams, Gon becomes determined to follow in his father's footsteps, pass the rigorous hunter examination, and eventually find his father to become a hunter in his own right. The story begins with a young boy named Gon, who aspires to be just like his father, Ging. Ging has left his son in the care of Mito, Gon's aunt, and has not been back since. In order to prove his ability to take the exam, Gon catches the local monster fish, Lord of the Lake. Although Mito is reluctant to let Gon leave his home, she relents after seeing his determination to understand why his father left, and what his interest of becoming a hunter was. After saying goodbye to Mito and the townspeople, Gon boards a ship with participants from other lands, and sets sail for the exam venue. After Gon predicts a violent storm approaching, the captain manages to steer the ship through the storm. He's later revealed to be one of the hunter examiners, and he singles out Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio. Kurapika and Leorio have an argument, stepping out onto the deck to fight during the storm, but are interrupted when Gon goes to save a crew member who fell out of the ship. Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio save the crew member, earning the captain's approval, so he sends the three to the port closest to the exam site. Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio arrive at Dole Harbor, and are given instructions by the captain to head to the cedar tree on the hilltop behind the city. Moving through a small town, their path is blocked by a group of people, where an old woman won't let them pass until they've answered a quiz question. A scheming participant who followed the trio from the harbor answers a question and is allowed to pass. The group also manages to solve the question. The old woman shows Gon and the others to the correct path to the cedar tree. Upon reaching the tree, they find that the navigators who also test them. With the navigators' help, Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio arrive at Zabun City, the venue of the exam. The navigator leads them to a small restaurant, which is actually a front for the hunter exam venue. Below, they meet the rest of the hunter exam participants and are given their numbers. Hisoka, a magician who attempts to kill an examiner in his previous attempt at the exam, is introduced. After accounting for the number of participants, an examiner by the name of Satots tells the participants to follow him in the first phase of the exam. Without telling them their destination or how far they're going to travel, Killua, another rookie examinee, is introduced, and he is curious about Gon when he discovers that they are the same age. Kurapika and Leorio run together and talk about their reasons for becoming hunters. They are led to Numir Wetlands, also known as Swindler's Swamp. They pass the test there as well. Satots tells the participants to follow him into the swamp, and if any of them loses sight of them, they'll never reach the second venue. While following Satots, a fog covers the swamp, and most of the contestants are either rendered unconscious or killed by the traps and ferocious beasts. Gon and Killua are separated from Leorio and Kurapika, and both parties are attacked by monsters. Leorio face off against Hisoka and loses and faints. Gon is separated from Killua and intervenes, but loses. Gon confesses to Kurapika that he actually feels afraid of his encounter with Hisoka. Gon and Kurapika reunite with Leorio and Killua at the Phase 2 site. Satots leads what remains of the candidates to meet the second phase examiners, Menchi and Buhara. They have to take a cooking exam where they have to hunt and cook carnivorous pigs. The group manages to complete the task. Buhara gives a pass, but Menchi fails all of them. Knowing the candidates will riot, Satots informs Chairman Netiro of the Hunter Selection Committee to make an appearance. Netiro allows Menchi to stay on as an examiner, only if she participates in the event as well. Menchi gives the candidates a retest. Boil eggs laid by spider eagles on Mount Split in Half. Having seen and learned how Menchi gets her egg, Gon leads some of the other candidates into successfully getting their own. Out of the 50 candidates who survived to reach Phase 2, 42 candidates now remain. Upon traveling to the Phase 3 site, the 42 remaining contestants travel on Chairman Netiro's airship. Gon and Killua explore the airship, and Killua tells Gon that he's actually from a family of assassins. Netiro then arrives and tests both boys' instincts and asks how they felt about the difficulty of the exam. Netero invites both of them to participate in a game, which is simply taking a basketball from his hand. Killua gives up, but Gon keeps trying. Gon manages to get him to use his right hand once, which Gon counts as a great achievement. Gon passes out happily from exhaustion, and Netero calls the pilot of the airship to fly the ship a little slower so Gon can get more rest. The airship reaches the Phase 3 site, which is a tall, featureless pillar built on an equally high platform. It's called the Trick Tower. The candidates are told that to pass Phase 3, they have to climb down from the top to the base of the tower within 72 hours. An experienced rock climber candidate tries to climb down the side but is eaten by some flying monsters. They find trapdoors, and each one uses a different trapdoor, but they all end up in the same room. Gon's group is given special wristwatches, and Lipo, the Phase 3 examiner, examines that the wristwatches can be used to vote for which path to take through the tower. They will need to cooperate in order to pass this phase. However, there are 5 watches, and they cannot proceed without a 5th member. Tonpa, a sabotaging participant, eventually falls through the trapdoor, joining in as the 5th member, and the exam proceeds. By following majority rule, the group eventually reaches an arena where they have to face prisoners hired by Lipo to become combatants. Elsewhere, Hisoka is met by Togari, a former examiner whom Hisoka attacked and is now wanting revenge. Togari attacks with 4 crescent blades, only to be finished with 1 sweeping attack. Hisoka then becomes the first applicant to pass this phase. Gon and his team manages to get 3 victories and moves on to the next challenge. The team waits in a room for 50 hours, and then face a predicament right before the end. The group is challenged, having to choose between a short and easy route, which only 3 can enter, or a long and hard path, which all members of the group can enter. Gon comes up with the idea to choose the long route, and acts the wall dividing them between the short path, and all 5 of them make it down the base of the tower in time. Gon writes a letter to his aunt telling her of his adventures. The applicants head to Zeevil Island for the 4th phase of the exam. Each person draws a number which corresponds to the ID number of their target. Their own ID tag is worth 3 points, and all other ID tags are worth 1 point. Each applicant must collect 6 points in order to pass this phase of the exam. Gon's target turns out to be Hisoka, much to his dismay. Kurapika and Leorio know that neither is the other's target. They decide to form an alliance. Gon is able to use his fishing rod to snatch Hisoka's tag right when Hisoka attacks his target. However, as Gon tries to escape, he is attacked and temporarily paralyzed by another applicant who takes his tag. Shortly after, Hisoka, impressed with Gon's patience and skill, kills the applicant who attacked Gon and returns his badge. Though Gon is reluctant to accept Hisoka's charity, he's ultimately forced to, and Hisoka expresses his desire to meet Gon in the next stage of the exam. Gon manages to get them through to the final phase of the exam. But first, Netero wants an interview with each of the remaining applicants. The 4th phase has ended and 9 applicants will go on through the final phase. The chairman interviews each of them, after which Gon and Kurapika chat and thank each other. Gon and his friends have advanced to the final phase of the Hunter exam. The final phase is the tournament, where the winners are out and losers advance. The rule is that if you kill your opponent, you'll be disqualified. The first match is Gon versus Hanzo. Gon can't do anything against Hanzo, but he refuses to give up. Hanzo is losing his patience and threatens to break Gon's arm. Gon wakes up and finds himself being congratulated by Satotes for being the first person to pass the Hunter exam. Gon asks Satotes if the exam was still going on, and Satotes tells him that it's over. Satotes explains the events that occurred while he was unconscious. Hisoka and Kurapika engage in a short fight, during which Hisoka whispers something to Kurapika and promptly surrenders. In the next round, Hanzo forces Pakko to surrender. Bodoro is beaten by Hisoka. Hisoka whispers into Bodoro's ear, which convinces Bodoro to surrender. Killua forfeits the next round because he thinks fighting Pakko would not interest him. Leorio asks to postpone the next round until Bodoro is in a proper shape to fight. Killua then fights Gitaraker, who is revealed to be Killua's brother, Illumi, following his facial transformation from the previous phase of the exam. After a tense conversation in which Illumi kills an examiner and threatens to kill Gon, Killua surrenders and falls into a depressed state. The next round between Leorio and Bodoro finally commences, but Killua interrupts it by killing Bodoro and disqualifying himself. Gon then heads to the new Hunter orientation to confront Illumi. Gon is upset that Killua was forced to kill. Gon is mad at Illumi and proclaims that he will go to Kukuro Mountain to rescue Killua. As Gon and his friends depart, Setots mentions that the hunter exam isn't over yet. After arriving in the Republic of Pudokia, Gon, Leorio, and Kurapika board a tour bus to Kukuro Mountain, where Killua lives. However, they're blocked by a massive testing gate. Anyone who attempts to enter through the side door is eaten by Mike, the watchdog. After arguing with the family butler and attempting to climb over the gate with his fishing pole, Gon's spirit convinces Zebro, the elderly gateskeeper, to open the testing gate and accompany them so they can enter without Mike eating them. Killua is being tortured by his brother Maluki until he's ready to apologize to his mother. Killua learns from his family that his friends are at the estate to see him. Kikyo, Killua's mother, tells them that Killua cannot see them as he is in solitary confinement. Killua is summoned by his father, Silva, with help from Canary, who is concerned about Killua. Gon and his friends are getting closer to the mansion. Silva asks him if he wants to see his friends. Killua answers truthfully that he does. So Silva grants him his freedom with the promise that Killua should never betray his friends. A short squabble between Kikyo and Silva reveals that he still believes Killua will one day return home as the leader of the Zojic family. The group meet the butler Goto, who challenges them to a coin game so he can determine if they're worthy of being Killua's friends. Leorio and Kurapika are disqualified. After winning the game and reuniting with Killua, Gon now looks ahead to his next objective. He refuses to use his hunter license until he can return Hisoka's number badge. Kurapika reveals that he knows where to find Hisoka. Leorio and Kurapika leave the group to pursue their own goals. Gon and Killua decide to spend their time training. Everyone agrees to meet again on September 1st in York New City. And that's all for today, guys. If you like the recap and want more recaps like this, consider subscribing to our channel.